A very warm welcome to all the pensioners of the Department of Telecommunications. This video has been prepared to act as a guide for the timely generation and submission of life certificates by pensioners to ensure uninterrupted disbursal of pension. Before we move on to see the process of generation and submission of life certificates, it is pertinent to mention that there are three different types of DOT pensioners existing at the moment. It must be noted that DOT pensioners include BSNL and MTNL combined service optees and pro rata pensioners who draw their pension from Government of India as per the CCS pension rules. The three different types of pensioners are: in the first category are those pensioners who currently draw their pension in bank accounts via banks or centralized pension processing centers. In the second category are those pensioners who draw their pension in post office accounts via post offices or DAP offices. In the third category are those pensioners who draw their pension in bank accounts directly from Controller of Communication Accounts offices via Sampan or the Financial Management System. Sampan is a comprehensive pension management system which was dedicated to the nation on the 29th of December 2018. One important point which has to be noted is that life certificate submission has been relaxed by means of staggering for the convenience of pensioners. It must be noted that this is applicable only for those DOT pensioners who are receiving pension via Sampan or via the financial management system in case of MTNL. By way of staggering, a pensioner has to submit his/her life certificate within 1 year of submission of the previous life certificate. Therefore, he or she does not have to mandatorily submit the life certificate in November of each year. To understand this with more clarity, let's take an example. If a pensioner, let's say, retires on 31st of January 2020, then the next life certificate has to be submitted by him or her in or before February of 2021. Pensioners have the facility to either submit the life certificates physically or they can submit it digitally using Jeevan Praman. We will now see how physical life certificates could be generated and submitted. A physical life certificate has to be filled up in a specific format and it has to be signed by an authorized person. As per the order issued by the Central Pension Accounts Office, the following persons are eligible to sign on a life certificate. The persons are: a person exercising the powers of a magistrate under the Criminal Procedure Code, a registrar or a sub-registrar appointed under the Indian Registration Act, a gazetted government servant, a police officer not below the rank of sub-inspector in charge of a police station, a postmaster, a departmental sub-postmaster or an inspector of post offices, a Class 1 officer of the Reserve Bank of India, an officer including Grade 2 officer of the State Bank of India or of its subsidiary, a pensioned officer who, before retirement, exercised the powers of a magistrate, a justice of peace, a block development officer, munsif, tehsildar or naib tehsildar, a head of village panchayat, gram panchayat, gaon panchayat or an executive committee of a village, a member of parliament, of state legislatures or of legislatures of union territory governments or administrations, and finally a treasury officer. In case the pensioner is drawing pension in a bank account, the life certificate can be signed by an officer of the public sector bank. A few things must be noted in respect of those pensioners who are drawing pension via Sampan directly. These pensioners can physically visit the CCA offices to submit their life certificates or can also send them by post. Sampan pensioners can also get their life certificates generated at CCA offices by presenting themselves physically. In case of a pensioner who is residing abroad and drawing pension through any bank included in the second schedule to the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, the life certificate can be signed by an officer of the bank. A pensioner who is not a resident of India in respect of whom his duly authorized agent produces a life certificate which is signed by a magistrate, a notary, a banker, or a diplomatic representative of India is exempted from special appearance. Additionally, in bank branches where digital life certificate cannot be generated, physical life certificates can be obtained which can be signed by an authorized officer of the public sector bank. For here, the pensioners should note that for physical life certificates, pensioners must carry a copy of the PPO and an identity card for verification purposes. In case of Sampan or FMS pensioners, the physical life certificate can be sent to CCA offices either by post or by hand. Finally, if a physical life certificate has been obtained and submitted by a pensioner which has been signed by any of the authorized persons mentioned on the previous slide, the pensioner is not required to be physically present before the PDA or the CCA. Let us now see how digital life certificates can be generated and submitted via Jeevan Praman. Pensioners can get their digital life certificate via Jeevan Praman generated by visiting any one of the following locations mentioned. The locations are banks with Jeevan Praman facility, post offices with Jeevan Praman facility, common service centers, Aadhaar centers, pensioners lounge at CCA offices in respective circles, customer service center of BSNL with Jeevan Praman facility. Pensioners must note that they have to be physically present at any of the above locations in order to generate a digital life certificate. Pensioners must also keep the following details ready in order to generate a digital life certificate. The details are Aadhaar number, PPO number, and Aadhaar linked mobile number. Pensioners also must carry their mobile with them. The first step in generating a digital life certificate via Jeevan Praman is pensioner authentication. Here, the pensioner has to enter the mobile number and Aadhaar number as shown. After entering, the pensioner has to click on the Generate OTP button. After clicking, a one-time password will be sent to the Aadhaar linked mobile number of the pensioner. The pensioner has to enter the OTP and then click on the OK button. If all the details are correct, the pensioner's identity would be authenticated. The second step is entry of details. After the pensioner has been successfully authenticated, the pensioner will be taken to the next screen where the following mandatory details have to be entered as shown. The details are name of the pensioner, PPO number, type of pension, sanctioning authority, disbursing agency, and account number. The description of the fields which have to be entered by the pensioner is as follows. The first field is name of pensioner, where the pensioner has to enter his or her full name. The second field is PPO number, where the complete PPO number has to be entered. The third field is type of pension, where the pension type as applicable for the pensioner has to be selected from the drop-down. The fourth field is sanctioning authority. Since the pensioners belong to the Department of Telecommunications, Telecom as shown has to be selected from the drop-down. The fifth field is disbursing agency. Here, if the pension is being drawn in bank accounts via banks or CPPCs, then bank has to be selected from the drop-down as shown. However, if the pension is being drawn in bank accounts via Sampan or FMS, then Department of Telecommunications as shown has to be selected from the drop-down. The sixth field is agency. Here, if the pension is being drawn in bank accounts via banks or CPPCs, then the respective bank has to be selected from the drop-down. For example, if the pension is being drawn from State Bank of India, then State Bank of India has to be selected from the drop down. However, if the pension is being drawn in bank accounts via Sampan or FMS, then the name of the CCA office disbursing the pension has to be selected from the drop down. For example, if the pension is being disbursed by the CCA office of Karnataka Circle, then CCA Karnataka has to be selected from the drop down. Finally, the seventh field is account number, in which the account number has to be entered by the pensioner in which the pension is being received. Let us take a few examples to understand the data that has to be entered by the pensioners in the fields. In the first example, the pensioner is a DOT or a BSNL pensioner drawing pension via Sampan. The CCA office in this case is CCA Bihar. The sanctioning authority in this case will be Telecom. Disbursing agency will be Department of Telecommunications, and the agency will be CCA Bihar. In the second example, the pensioner is a DOT, BSNL or MTNL pensioner drawing pension via Sampan or FMS. The CCA office in this case is CCA Delhi. The sanctioning authority therefore in this case will be Telecom. Disbursing agency will be Department of Telecommunications, and agency will be CCA Delhi. In the third example, the pensioner is a DOT or BSNL pensioner drawing pension via Sampan. The CCA office in this case is CCA Maharashtra. The sanctioning authority therefore will be Telecom. Disbursing agency will be Department of Telecommunications, and the agency will be CCA Mumbai. In the fourth example, the pensioner is a DOT or MTNL pensioner drawing pension via Sampan or FMS. The CCA office in this case is CCA Mumbai. The sanctioning authority therefore will be Telecom. The disbursing agency will be Department of Telecommunications, and the agency will be CCA Mumbai. The third step is confirmation. After entering all the mandatory details, the pensioner has to either select the yes or no option for is re-employed and is remarried. After that, the pensioner has to tick the checkbox as shown to give consent. The fourth step is biometric scanning. After filling all the details, pensioner has to click on the scan finger button and thereafter complete the biometric authentication either by finger scanning or iris scanning. The fifth and the last step is life certificate generation. After the biometric authentication has been successful, the digital life certificate will be generated as shown in the figure. A unique Jeevan Praman ID will be generated, which must be noted down by the pensioner. Additionally, an SMS will also be sent as an acknowledgement on the registered mobile number. The pensioner can click on the print button to download or print the life certificate. Being a digital life certificate, the life certificate is automatically transferred to the PDA electronically, and therefore the pensioner is not required to submit any document physically. Since the life certificate would be digitally submitted, the pensioner is not required to physically present himself or herself before the PDA or the CCA. Therefore, we have seen how life certificates could be generated and submitted either physically or digitally using Jeevan Praman. It is requested that pensioners please submit the life certificates on time in order to ensure uninterrupted disbursal of pension by PDAs. For any further queries, pensioners can reach out to the Sampan Help Desk at sampan.cpms-dot@gov.in. Thank you.